The Oulton Park circuit in Cheshire welcomes the Caterham 7 420R Championship, the top tier of Caterham's racing ladder in the UK. Arriving here at Oulton Park, it's John Byrne with the points advantage after 3 wins from the first 4 races. Will Smith, David Henderson, Tim Dickens and Henry Heaton are very close behind though and looking to close the gap today. The opening race of the day for the 420Rs saw a race-long battle between front row starters John Byrne and Richard Ainscough, with Byrne taking the early advantage. Further back, it was the usual busy, chaotic run through the first few corners, with 1 or 2 drivers sustaining some war wounds over the opening exchanges. Matt Higginson was involved in a great dice with Tom Eden and Paul Vernon for much of the race, whilst at the front, Ainscough and Byrne continued to trade the lead. As they pulled away from the rest of the pack, the battle towards the back of the top 10 gained more and more excitement as a sideways number 64, Tom Eden, saved the moment, lost the positions. Then there was drama for John Byrne, the championship leader, out with mechanical drama, and that would cost him many championship points. Further back, Sir Chris Hoy, 6-time Olympic champion, was getting stuck in and did well to save that moment. At the front though, it was victory for David Henderson, his 2nd win of the year, to move himself right onto the tail of John Byrne in the championship. Fantastic opening race then. Race 2 promises more of the same excitement, with David Henderson now a double winner in the championship, with Tim Dickens alongside him on the front row. Richard Ainscough and Aaron Head come from row number 2, whilst John Byrne starts right at the back and really could do with making progress. Red lights on then, ready to go racing, away we go. The rush towards Old Hall Corner begins, and on the left hand side of the road, David Henderson, the red and black number 5 car, appears to have held on, with Aaron Head, the black car with the pink roll cage, charging around the outside of everyone into 2nd place through Old Hall Corner. Nicely done. On board with Chris Aubrey now then, who runs a bit wide over the grass, rejoined just behind Matt Higginson, with whom he did battle for much of the opening race of the weekend. The disc lock liveried machine just in front, gaining ground as a result of that moment for our onboard camera car, which is still wiggling around on slightly cold tyres on the way out of Cascades and down the Lakeside Straight. Tucked into the slipstream then, this enormous pack of Caterham 420Rs, the top tier of Caterham racing in the UK, the fastest cars that we see race here at Oulton Park, and some of the closest racing as well. Henderson starting though to try and make a break here from Aaron Head in 2nd position. The rest of them filing through. Looks like Richard Ainscough is there in 3rd, with Will Smith, the orange car, 4th. And then leaping over the curbs, Tim Dickens is down to 5th position, having started on the outside of row 1, so not a great start for him. Towards the back of the grid there, car number 80 is Alex Jordan, the pink machine. He's lost some ground, having started 14th, now down to about 20th, halfway around the opening lap. Higginson there up the inside, and John Byrne, the red number 3 car, right behind him now. So John Byrne is already making storming progress from the back of the grid, and looks like he might gain another position here before too much longer. He's tucked into the toe. He's already overtaken this man, Chris Aubrey, on the run into the Hislop chicane, and now Chris has a grandstand view of the Matt Higginson and John Byrne battle in front of him. Byrne gets to the inside through Druids, makes it look very easy indeed, and through he will sail. If John can continue to make this sort of progress, a top 5 finish definitely isn't out of the question. That really is the bare minimum requirement from this race. After all of those championship points were lost early on, he gains another position now at the expense of Alex Kirbley. The number 47 car goes down a spot, and then Sir Chris Hoy behind, who is also tagging on to this lead pack of cars, which completes the opening lap, with Will Smith now into 2nd place, look ahead of Aaron Head. And there, John Byrne is also at the tail end of the lead queue, so that's a really solid opening lap. He's pulling away now from this battle between Aubrey and Higginson, and Aubrey looks to the inside. There's a bit of a touch there, a bit of the rear wing on the rear left corner of Higginson's car goes flying. No major damage done though. These cars are well used to shedding wings. They, of course, serve an aerodynamic purpose, but the cars can function perfectly well without them. Aubrey, though, has delayed himself out of the corner and now has someone looking up the inside through Island Bend. Can we turn into the apex? Not really, but I think we have held on to the position for the time being. Not holding on to position though at the front of the field is David Henderson, because William Smith has gone through now into 1st position. Car number 27 out in front. Will Smith looking for his first victory of the season, and actually arrived here this weekend outside of the top 5 in points. So William, who for many was one of the drivers expected pre-season to fight for the championship, not really having the start to the year that he'd have been hoping for. Doing a nice job here though to assert himself as one of the regular front runners. John Byrne, we know, is a regular front runner, and he's just got past Rob Watts there, the number 77 car on the run into Hislops. Another place gain, so he's 1, 2, 4, 6, 7th or 8th position now, I reckon. 7th place, I think that is, as they go over the hill. So John Byrne is a-coming, definitely. Can Will Smith escape out in front before he arrives on the scene? That's the next question. Will is certainly doing his best to do so. He's pulling away on the grass from 3rd position. There was Richard Ainscough by the looks of it. Did well to gather that together. David Henderson still in 2nd position. 4th place, excuse me, for Ainscough, because Aaron Head is in 3rd still, number 19. There, the battle between Alex Querbley, number 47, and Rob Watts, number 77. Those two shared the 4th row of the grid, and Chris Hoy just behind them as well. Green and black car making its presence felt now in this leading group, which stretches outside of the top 10 though, such is the close quarters nature of this championship. Speaking of close, the gap at the front has definitely shrunk over the last half a lap or so. Looks as though race leader William Smith's going to have some defending to do before too much longer. Meanwhile, the Watts and Querbley battle rages on as well. There is Chris Hoy, you can't miss him, can you? Just at the tail end of that group, maybe starting to lose the toe slightly. He'll be hoping to see a bit more battling in front of him that could delay those cars and bring him back onto terms with them. Through Shell, defensive line taken there by Rob Watts, just twitches slightly under braking, but the banking at that corner will catch you if you're carrying a bit too much speed into the turn, so you can take a few liberties under braking and get away with it. This has been a change now. Chris Aubrey is ahead of Matt Higginson, so finally he's managed to find a way through. We trust he's done it without contact on this occasion. And look at the queue of cars forming behind now as well, all trying to take advantage. Henry Kramer, I think, is the red number 21 car just behind one of our 2 onboard camera cars in this race that have got themselves together, because we're now on board with Higginson looking at the rear of Aubrey's car. 2 having swapped positions earlier on in this lap through Hislops, using all of the curb and then through Knickerbrook Corner. Careful not to run too wide here of the apex, that will slow you down up the hill, and that's exactly what Chris Aubrey did. So Matt Higginson closes in, pulls to the right hand side of the road. The door is slammed in his face though. What about the outside at Druids? Again, no way through, so Chris Aubrey holds onto the position by the skin of his teeth. Through Lodge Corner, more changes at the front of the field now, because Aaron Head has got himself to the front of the pack, and 2nd position for David Henderson, so William Smith down to 3rd now. 4th position being held by Richard Ainscough at the moment, car number 58. Richard also was struggling in the points coming into this weekend, so he'll be glad to be in the lead pack, but runs a bit wide there out of Old Hall Corner, leaves himself under pressure from Timothy Dickens for 4th position. Side by side they will go, the black car on the outside line. John Byrne there trying to take advantage as well. Dickens with the wider line into Cascade, tucks back in the slipstream down the lakeside straight, but they're really delaying themselves now, allowing the leading trio to start to pull away, but they themselves are starting to do battle too. There are still plenty of things that could change here in the little time that's left in this race. Defensive line taken by Ainscough, fending off Tim Dickens for now as they run through the Shell hairpin. They all stack up, and William Smith slows. William Smith from 3rd position, the early race leader, pulling off at the side of the road, and that's an absolute disaster for William Smith. That'll be his first non-finish of the season so far, and at a really bad time, because it looked as though he was set to take some good points out of this race. John Byrne, though, has somehow found his way into the race lead, so John Byrne taking advantage of the bunching that was going on in front of him. He's gone through into the lead of the race, with David Henderson still in 2nd place. Every time we look at David Henderson, he seems to be in 2nd position, regardless of how much chopping and changing has gone on around him. He can't quite get himself into the race lead. He's got only a couple of corners left to do this now, because we're on the final lap of the race. John Byrne, sensationally, from 22nd and last on the grid, has found his way to the front just in the nick of time. The blue car there is Henry Heaton, charging around the outside of everybody though, with one last ditch effort to get to the front. He might not get the lead, but he almost certainly will go around the outside of David Henderson for 2nd place. It's going to be a real scramble to the checkered flag, which looks like it will be taken for the 4th time this year by John Byrne, who punches the air with delight. What a finish to the race that was. John Byrne out of nowhere comes from the back to win it, and that will do his championship hopes the world of good. Confirmation then of what was a very close result indeed. The top 5 cars separated by 0.6 of a second, with Henry Heaton, David Henderson and John Byrne your podium finishers.
Yeah, at this point for the first while I was in the lead, doing some good lap time, thinking I've just got to control this race. And then the engine let go, coming down the back straight, 8 laps in, which is, it's a brand new motor, and that's where the luck goes. And DW Motorsport done just an amazing job to get me up just before the start of that race. and we didn't have flat shiftings. I was manually gear changing up and down.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really pleased with that. I couldn't ask for any more, first, maybe 2 wins, but, that was all right. I just more or less stayed out of trouble, but it was quite difficult at times.
It was all about the last lap as ever with Caterham's, really, so great to be up at the sharp end and finishing on the podium. It's so competitive, this championship, so it's fantastic to be up there with the fast guys, and yeah, I'm going to be enjoying that podium.
Well, John Byrne's fight back means that he is only 1 point behind David Henderson, the championship leader, despite the disaster of race 1. Tim Dickens and Henry Heaton have closed in, and he can't count out Aaron Head or William Smith yet. Well, brilliant racing all round this weekend. Be sure to join us next time at Snetterton for more of the same.